at an initiative that's looking to promote entrepreneurship in Sharjah. Najla Al Midfa is Managing Director of the Sharjah Entrepreneurship Centre, which is also known as Sheraa. Thanks very much for joining us this morning, Najla.
Thank you.
Let's have a look at, first of all, what Sheraa was set up to do, because you've been running just over 6 months, haven't you?
Yes, that's right. Sheraa was actually set up as a platform. We actually like to say we're creating the next wave of entrepreneurs. But if you look at unemployment in the region, it is obviously a challenge, especially among youth. So what we're trying to do is create a generation of not job seekers, which is typically what graduates do after they graduate from university, but a generation of job creators. So rather than talking about just self-employment, these are students who will launch ventures that will hopefully scale, not just to provide employment for themselves, but employment for others as well.
How do you do that? How do you promote entrepreneurship?
So it's not easy, and we often say entrepreneurship, first of all, is a mindset, and in order to promote it, you need to start really young, and that's exactly what we do. So although we're based at the American University of Sharjah and the students around us are really in the 18 to 25 age group, we start as young as 11. So for example, this summer we 11, yes. So this summer we partnered with the Sharjah Girl Guides and Sajaya to run courses for girls between the ages of 11 and 15 on entrepreneurship, giving them the confidence, the skills, creativity, and so on, to think like an entrepreneur. So it starts very early. It starts by inspiring them and exposing them to role models. So that's our first pillar. We say inspire. The second one is our academy, Learn, which is where we provide them with skills. And those skills range everything from self-development, so raising their ambitions and giving them the confidence to pursue their dreams, through to soft skills. So there was an article, for example, yesterday at the Wall Street Journal talking about how important soft skills are to employers. So irrespective of whether these students want to be entrepreneurs or employees, these skills are very important to them. And then finally, there's the hard skills, which are the technical skills we provide. And then the third pillar is create. This is where we actually create the businesses. We have an Accelerator program that's actually launching now. Applications are open until the 29th of September. It's a 3-month program where we provide selected businesses with free trade licenses, a stipend or a grant of 35,000 dirhams, and a lot of expert mentorship, guidance, and access to market and investors.
How much is it with these 11-year-olds that they really do genuinely want to work for themselves rather than just get a job, that they see that this is the way to get rich quick?
Yeah, I mean, I think at 11, it's not really about whether they want to get a job or start a business. Like I said, it's much more about giving them the skills and the mindset that they do have, basically allowing them to feel empowered.
How do they perceive this sort of the idea of being an entrepreneur, like you're a company owner, a company manager, somebody else does the work, that sort of thing? Is it just you want to boss other people around rather than do the work yourself?
So I agree with you completely, Malcolm. I think there's a perception that entrepreneurship is sort of the easy way out, and it gives you the personal freedom to do whatever you like. And I think that's something that, yes, while we are trying to showcase role models and say, entrepreneurship makes a huge difference to the world, we also make it very clear that it's not an easy path. It's a very difficult path, but it's a worthwhile journey at the end. And platforms like Sheraa can actually provide you the mentorship and guidance that you require along that journey. But absolutely, you're right. There is a misconception that entrepreneurship is just an easy way of having flexible hours and, owning your own business, but it isn't easy.
What if I want to take part? What criteria do I have to fit? Who's allowed?
That's a great question. So what we do is we've got a set of criteria at this stage, because it's so early stage. We often say it's more the person or the team rather than the idea. So the first thing we look at is a team. So we'd like to see a team of 2 to 5 people working on an idea, and passion is key over here. So we'd like to see that they have a complementary skill set. So one might be a technical co-founder, one might have the business skills, but at the same time they're all very passionate about the idea. We do say that we would like one person on the team to be committed full-time to the project. So some may be in jobs, which is fine, but if one person is full-time, that's great. And then we look at the idea itself and make sure that they've basically understood the idea, they're passionate about the problem that they're solving, and if they've had any traction with customers, that's obviously a bonus points for them.
Do you have to be of a particular age? Do you have to be a bright young thing?
No, the age is not an issue at all. One thing that we do say is, again, we'd like one of the students to have a link to one of the universities in Sharjah. So we're based at the American University of Sharjah, but Sheraa is actually an independent entity under the chairmanship of Her Excellency Sheikh Abdur Al-Qasimi. So we're actually open to all universities in Sharjah, be it University of Sharjah, higher colleges of technology, Skyline, and so on. So we do say that we'd like one team member to have a link to one of the universities in Sharjah, but no, it doesn't have to be of any particular age group.
How easy is it in Sharjah? I mean, Dubai, obviously, we have plenty of role models, plenty of opportunities, if you like. We've got the free zones and a lot of startup businesses. Does that sort of thriving, young startup culture exist in Sharjah? I
think probably the best way to term it is that it's a growing ecosystem. So Dubai, for sure, is buzzing and mature entrepreneurship ecosystem. What's nice about Sharjah, it's perhaps in its nascent stages, but it's also very exciting. So every day you're seeing new businesses slowly start popping up. So that means also the opportunities are much greater. There are role models, and we are trying to give them the platform to really share their stories as well with the youth.
Najla, you've got a blue chip business career, Stanford MBA, you worked at McKinsey in New York, and so on. Looking at your LinkedIn profile, the one question I have is you were an intern at Google as part of your MBA. What did you learn at Google?
Wow, you really dug into my...
Yes. Well, it's LinkedIn. I mean, it's not investigative journalism, but it's interesting. What did you learn at Google as an intern about the way that they train and teach people, and how can you implement that with Sheraa?
So that's a good question. I actually joined Google, like you said, during my MBA as an internship, between my first and second year. I was in the business analytics team. So I'll tell you the pros and cons. So on the plus side, what I loved about Google and what I learned about Google is the importance of having a culture that supports and empowers all employees, and that's something that we're trying to implement here in Sheraa. So I was very much inspired by my time in Google at that sense. I was on the business analytics team, which is a little bit focused more on the business side, and I think one thing that, looking back at my time at Google, if I had been more on the product development side, would have been more exciting for me. And that's one of the things we're trying to do when I talked about the academy and developing hard skills, is really to build a pool of talent with those product development skills in Sharjah.
You're about to get a new facility, aren't you? You're kind of moving into phase 2, as it were. Tell us about that.
So the American University of Sharjah has kindly offered us an amazing, really prime location, 650 square meter facility in the middle of campus. It's in the library building. We've just fitted that out. It's basically a collaborative co-working space. It's the first of its kind in Sharjah, and certainly the first of its kind in any university in the UAE. The designer is actually, interestingly enough, a graduate of the American University of Sharjah, Pallavi Deen. I'd like to give a shout out to her. And that's exactly what we try to do. So even in things like our interior design and our branding and so on, we tend to use startups or SMEs because we'd like to walk the talk. But yes, this new facility will be opening in October, hopefully, and we look forward to welcoming a whole new generation of entrepreneurs there.
Well, thanks very much for sharing what's going on at the Sharjah Entrepreneurship Centre, or Sheraa, with us this morning. Najla Al Midfa, who is the General Manager down at Sheraa. We appreciate speaking to you.